The roommate was disliked by her boyfriend for being too fat, so she asked him to supervise her weight loss. The other party in her agreement, if she diet during the takeaway, a fine of 500, weight loss failure to break up. I think the housemate boyfriend is looking for an excuse to cheat to break up. Advise the housemate do not just agree to him. Later, the housemate weight loss failure, boyfriend and she broke up seamlessly after a slim girl. The roommate, who was spat on as fatty even after her bitter attempts to get her back, blamed me for everything. She used a knife to cut open my stomach, ripped out the internal organs and then frantically stuffed all kinds of food garbage into it. If it wasn't for you, bitch, I would have lost weight long ago. And if I'm not well off, you won't be either. Torturing me viciously for 3 hours before ending my life with a single stab. After swallowing my breath, I was back to the day when my roommate asked her boyfriend to supervise her weight loss. You're only 160 tall, your weight is 140 pounds. Almost as heavy as me, you're really fat now. Look at other girls only 90 pounds. But everyone else says I'm not fat. Well, then you supervise my weight loss. Rehearing this familiar conversation between my roommate Lily Johnson and her boyfriend Daniel Taylor, I couldn't help but be in a bit of a trance after gagging only a second ago. Am I coming back to life? In her last life, Lily Johnson was disliked by Daniel Taylor for being too fat at 140 pounds and took the initiative to let him supervise her weight loss. The two then agreed to steal a takeout order once and be fined 500. At that time on the sidelines to hear the content of the call, I just feel a kind of slap cannot be slapped into the screen of powerlessness. Daniel Taylor is clearly in Lily Johnson. Lily Johnson's body is voluptuous type. The meat of the place meat, the thin place thin, where fat, presumably in order to find an excuse to cheat money to break up. When Lily Johnson hung up the phone, I kindly advised her, but she thought I had ulterior motives. However, it was these words that started the countdown to my nightmare. Lily Johnson has always loved to eat high-calorie things, but also liked to order milk tea sweets, simply cannot control their own mouth, and finally rightfully failed to lose weight. Lily Johnson, who was overwhelmed by the loss of love, begged to get back together to no avail, and blamed it all on me. She used the excuse of looking for comfort from her lost love, and tricked me into going to the mountains. I rushed to comfort her full of worry, but I was greeted with a grimace as she stabbed me in the stomach with a knife. After seeing me fall to the ground, with a sardonic smile on her face, she used the knife to cut open my stomach, and then madly stuffed all kinds of garbage into it after pulling out the internal organs inside. After torturing me for 3 hours on the mountain, he ended my life with a knife. The horror of being tortured and the suffocating feeling of death made me involuntarily scream in my dormitory. So let's make a deal, yo. If I catch you ordering takeout once, you'll be fined 500. And if you don't lose 90 pounds in 2 months, you'll be considered a failure, and we'll break up then. Okay, honey, I will definitely slim down into a lightning bolt to brighten up your eyes. The two made out for a while before hanging up the phone reluctantly. My roommate asked me with concern if I was uncomfortable, and I shook my head miserably. Lily Johnson changed her sweetness with Daniel Taylor just now and angrily came over to question me. What kind of wave did you just make? Who are you trying to seduce by screaming so slutty? Idiot. I've been wanting to call her out like that for a long time now, and I'm not going to be that soft on her in my second life. This person is a white-eyed wolf with a love brain. It's hopeless. Lily Johnson drops her phone in exasperation, her manicured hands scratching straight at my face. I threw a slap straight at her face, then took a step back to avoid her. I sneered at her and taunted again. Can't you hear me? Then I'll say it again. You're idiot. Lily Johnson's eyes went red and she tried to charge at me like crazy, but was stopped by 2 other housemates. Are you sick? How dare you hit me when it's obvious you're the one who's on a wave? I rolled my eyes, frowning as I scanned a circle of her, sizing her up. I'm not stupid. Only you can hit me, I can't hit back. Look at yourself, fat and ugly, bad temper. No wonder your boyfriend dislikes you. In my last life, I comforted Lily Johnson by saying that she had a good figure and didn't need to lose too much. Lily Johnson heard what I advised her, but thought I liked her boyfriend and intentionally made her lose weight and fail. I think you like my boyfriend and want us to break up so you can be with him. At that time, I only thought Lily Johnson was just brainwashed too much by Daniel Taylor and couldn't think straight for a while, and continued to persuade her. Instead, she thought I was trying to hurt her and in turn called me out with a bunch of slurs. Now, Lily Johnson heard my words but instantly black face. You think you are very thin and good-looking? It's not like you don't have anyone to chase after. I think you're just jealous that I have a boyfriend. I breathlessly rolled my eyes again. Boyfriend. You're the only one who hangs on to your boyfriend all day. Just that lousy cucumber white chicken. No one would even want it if it was upside down. And hurry up and get lost. Don't rely on me when you fail to lose weight. After saying that, I turned my head and went out to eat, ignoring Lily Johnson, who was staring at me with a resentful face. The task of losing from 140 pounds to 90 pounds in 2 months was a heavy one, and time was short. After that day, Lily Johnson went on a diet, skipping breakfast and dinner, and eating only a little bit of lunch. To avoid temptation, she also didn't allow the rest of us to bring food back to the dorm. If I find out that you guys have brought food back to the dorm, you'll be fined 500 every time I see you. I was eating spicy hot pot when I heard this. Lily Johnson walked up to me and held out the collection QR code. You fine 500. Good Lord, it's not enough to get screwed out of your own money. You want to screw the rest of us out of ours. I ignored her and continued to eat spicy hot pot. Lily Johnson grabbed the spicy hot on my table and threw it to the trash can, looking smugly at the other 2 housemates. Either pay the fine or I'll throw your stuff away. The anger inside of me, who had managed to eat a good meal after a long day, was soaring upwards. I got up and yanked Lily Johnson by her hair, yanking her to the floor with all my might, grabbing the spicy hot from the trash can and dumping it on her. I'm sick of people like you wasting food. You can't eat it yourself and you won't let anyone else eat it. Who do you think you are? The spicy hot was poured by me on her hair, clothes, and some grease stains flowed into her clothes. Lily Johnson's entire body fell to the floor in a sorry state, smelling like spicy hot. I nodded in satisfaction as I looked down at her sorry state. We can eat all we want, and I won't spoil you if you throw other people's stuff. Lily Johnson climbed to her feet and came charging forward with a greasy mess. Aha, I'm going to kill you. I quickly dodged out of the way. As a result, she stepped on the oil stains from the spicy hot pot on the floor and slipped violently on the floor. The floor of the dormitory shook slightly with a loud bang. The other roommates wanted to go over to help Lily Johnson, but when they saw the floor and the oil stains on her body, they retracted their feet. Seeing that Lily Johnson was still trying to get me in trouble, my roommate advised her to hurry up and take a shower and change her clothes, or else the smell would get worse and worse. Seeing that everyone was on my side, Lily Johnson, who had not gotten her way just now, reluctantly went to take a shower. I stopped my roommates who were trying to clean up and grabbed the cleaning tools from them to clean up the spicy hot pot on the floor. After all, I'm the one who made the mess, so I'd better clean it up myself. After being cleaned up by me, Lily Johnson didn't continue to be a demon in the dormitory, and the dormitory also harmonized a lot. However, after a week of losing weight, Lily Johnson finally couldn't resist ordering takeout. Afraid of being discovered by Daniel Taylor, she picked a time when the door was about to be closed to order a fried chicken and took it back before the door was closed. However, she was just about to eat the fried chicken when Daniel Taylor's video call came through. Lily Johnson fumbled to put the fried chicken away before sheepishly connecting to the video. As soon as she connected, she heard Daniel Taylor's questioning voice. Did you secretly order takeout? The dormitory was not big, and since it was quiet during the night break, and they didn't intentionally lower their voices when they were talking, the rest of us could naturally hear it clearly. Lily Johnson naively said, I didn't. Daniel Taylor grunted. I saw the picture my roommate just sent me, and it was you. Lily Johnson subconsciously retorted, that's not my takeout. Daniel didn't believe it at all and continued to question, then turn the camera around and let me see your seat to see if you're lying to me. I hate it when people lie to me. Lily Johnson hastily shook her head and voluntarily admitted her mistake. I'm sorry, I did order takeout. I shouldn't have lied to you. Daniel Taylor said triumphantly, the fine for stealing a takeaway order is 500. And you lied to me, the crime is compounded. You transfer 800 to me. The other 2 housemates and I looked at each other speechlessly. This man is also too much to beat. Lily Johnson. I spent almost 1,000 on shoes for your birthday a while ago. I don't have that much to live on now. Daniel Taylor. I didn't ask you to spend that much money on a gift for me. You asked for it. Lily Johnson. Can you give less then? I don't really have that much money left. Daniel Taylor. Who knows if you ordered any other takeout? 800. I even think it's going to be less. You stole the takeout. You're a loser. I don't care that much. Willing to bet. If you don't have the money, you can borrow it. Daniel Taylor hung up the video straight after saying that, not giving Lily Johnson a chance to refuse. Lily Johnson hung up the phone and reached out to point at me and yelled, "Did you report me? I saw you go back to the dormitory when I got the takeout. It was indeed me who took the picture. And it was me who sent it to Daniel Taylor's roommate. So what? I'm not admitting it. Daniel Taylor housemate is my high school best friend. And I sent the photo with the specific instruction that he not say I took it. As long as I didn't say anything, and he didn't say anything, who would know that I was the one who sued?" I stared expressionlessly at Lily Johnson's hand and said in a cold voice, "It wasn't me. Who knows who saw you taking takeout? Point your finger at me again and I'll break the tread." Lily Johnson snapped and withdrew her hand, and then said to us in an overbearing manner, "You guys lent me 800. I'll pay you back when I get my living expenses next month." It occurred to me that this incident seemed to have happened in a previous life. Because of my kind help in covering and feeding from time to time, Lily Johnson wasn't caught ordering takeout so quickly. But in my last life, I was really seen by Daniel Taylor's roommate, and then I was also fined 800. But I paid all the 800 fines back then, because Lily Johnson was crying miserably and asked me for money, and I couldn't stand to see a girl cry, so I lent her the money. She stopped crying right after she got it, and turned around and went back to being sweet with her boyfriend. I realized that she was pretending. However, before I could get this money back, I was killed by Lily Johnson, the relationship brain. Obscure. Thinking about this made my face even darker. By the time Lily Johnson held out the collection QR code to me, I subconsciously replied, "No money." Perhaps I said it too quickly and perfunctorily. Lily Johnson didn't believe a word I said. She stared at me with wide eyes and pointed at my clothes hanging by the bed, shouting, "I don't believe it. You bought several new clothes the other day. You must still have money." This was followed by an unrelenting question. "Do you just not want to lend it to me?" Lily Johnson was so excited that her saliva spewed out, and I stepped back in disgust. Seeing my evasive maneuver, her face froze for a moment and immediately turned into a shamelessly bossy look again. I put down the phone in my hand, my eyes stared straight at Lily Johnson, and directly tore my face off. "What's wrong with me not wanting to borrow you? Am I on good terms with you? Don't make me mad at night." Lily Johnson snapped and averted her eyes, muttering "poor guy" and turning her head back to the other two housemates who were as quiet as chickens. They did, but not much, borrowing 200 each. "Lily, we don't have much left. There's only so much we can lend you." Lily Johnson came closer to look at their balances, skimmed her lips, and didn't say anything else. Twisting her way back to her seat, she sharply transferred the money to Daniel Taylor and clipped a voice. "Honey, people only have so much right now. Wait for people to borrow later, and then transfer to you. Don't be angry, yo." The opposite side immediately second collection. "Okay, then you hurry to borrow money. Do not forget that there is still a difference of 400 it. Early to pay the fine, early to go to bed. I go to sleep first. Love you. Good night." One of the housemates heard Daniel Taylor's voice and couldn't help but open his mouth to fight for Lily Johnson. "Lily, I think your boyfriend is a bit over the top. Knowing that you don't have any money, you still insist on borrowing money to pay any fine. You sent him such an expensive gift before. What has he ever sent you?" "Nothing has been sent, right? I think you'd better break up quickly. He's just a scumbag." Lily Johnson, who was sweetly listening to the voiceover, sniffed and rolled her eyes at her housemate. "Didn't you hear him say he loves me? You're just borrowing money. Don't even think about telling me and Daniel what to do with our relationship. You wouldn't understand if you've never been in love. I think you're just jealous of me." Said, also scrutinized a circle from top to bottom, said disdainfully, "Just like you, stripped naked lying on the bed to send waves, also cannot seduce my boyfriend." The roommate was so angry that she couldn't speak, trembling all over, and would only raise her hand to point at Lily Johnson. "The fight is still too weak. Let me do it." I patted her shoulder to show appeasement, cold voice to Lily Johnson dislike back. "What's the matter? now borrowed money to become a big master, began to personal attacks, you will not still think of money owed not to pay it, right? Besides, your boyfriend like a white chicken, who cares only you will be a piece of treasure, guilty of cheap to hold up. Help you is love, do not help you is this, they lend you money and willing to give you advice. That is their goodness, unlike someone, lend money also borrowed out of the sense of superiority. Think they are superior, not moved to make yellow rumor humiliate others. Lily Johnson, red face, annoyed and angry, shouted at me. My boyfriend is the best man in the world. I love him, willing to hold him. How? I replied with a grimace, oh well, I wish you a long and happy 100 years and don't come to haunt the rest of us. Don't ever give up on Daniel Taylor behind you. I hope you two lock up with each other and don't come out to wreak havoc on the rest of us. After that day, no one in the dorm cared about Lily Johnson. And when Lily Johnson got fined again, no one was willing to lend her money. Lily Johnson had to borrow money from others to pay the fine. Under Lily Johnson's crazy diet, she lost some weight. But what changed with it was that her body was obviously much weaker than before, and she walked with no energy. At the end of class on this day, Lily Johnson didn't walk a few steps in the classroom before she suddenly fainted helplessly on the floor. We happened to be walking behind her and rushed forward to help her to a seat aside. My roommate guessed that she hadn't eaten much during this period of time and was probably suffering from hypoglycemia. So she hurriedly took out chocolates and stuffed them into her mouth. After a while, Lily Johnson, who had fainted, regained consciousness. A roommate kindly suggested, Lily, you'd better not diet and lose weight. If you go on like this, your body can't stand it. You'd better eat properly, you've just fainted. Another housemate nodded in agreement with concern. I know what kind of person Lily Johnson is. In the end, did not say anything to persuade her, sitting aside to play with the cell phone. As expected, Lily Johnson just couldn't tell the difference between good and bad words. She was white as a sheet and choked back in a bad tone, I just didn't get a good rest recently before I fainted. It's not because of weight loss, you guys just can't see the good, you want to stop me from losing weight. At this time, a person walked in outside the classroom. It was Daniel Taylor, who had come to pick up Lily Johnson from class. He schlepped in and asked Lily Johnson what had happened. Lily Johnson got up and leaned softly into Daniel Taylor's arms and pitifully complained, Honey, my roommates and the girls told me not to lose weight. I think they just want to see me fail to lose weight so that you and I will break up, humph. Daniel Taylor hugged Lily Johnson. His eyes colorfully looked around at the three of us and finally rested on me. What? When we break up, will you guys send me another girlfriend? It's not impossible. I think you're just fine. Lily Johnson's originally smiling face instantly blackened and hurriedly spoke. Honey, we're not going to break up. Daniel Taylor laughingly ignored her. Eyes without the slightest concealment continued to stare at me, reached out and introduced himself. Hello, beauties. I'm Lily's boyfriend, Daniel Taylor. There is time to get in touch with more contact. Lily Johnson hastily rips off his outstretched hand and clasps her fingers tightly together, and then tilted his chin and looked at me demonstratively. I directly rolled my eyes and nonchalantly opened my dislike. I'm not Lily Johnson. I'm not interested in a confident and ordinary man like you. I hope you stay away from me. I'm now sick to my stomach at the sight of you guys. After saying that, she straightly dragged her two roommates back to the dormitory. As he passed Daniel Taylor, he handed me a slip of paper with his cell phone number on it. He also shook his hair and thought he was handsome as he opened his mouth. This is my contact information. You can also come out to eat with Lily when you have time. Two housemates looked at him with shocked faces. I didn't expect him to be cheeky enough to shyly move up after being rejected in front of his girlfriend. Idiot. I couldn't help but curse in my heart. I turned my head to look directly at Lily Johnson and sneered, Keep an eye on your boyfriend. Don't let him just go out and have a fling. I'm allergic to people like that. Lily Johnson yanked Daniel Taylor back to her feet and pouted, daintily shaking Daniel Taylor's hands in an effort to get his attention. Looking at me like a venomous snake spitting out a letter, his eyes full of cynicism. When I got back to my dorm, I was just getting ready to eat when Lily Johnson returned. Lily Johnson came over to me in a rage and reached for my lunchbox, which I held down tightly. Raising the other to hit me again, I got right up and slapped her. Slap! One side of Lily Johnson's face is instantly red and swollen, and she doesn't give up as she raises her hand again. I gave her another quick slap on the other side of her face before pushing her away with one hand. Pop! Now it was symmetrical, both sides swollen. Satisfied with my masterpiece, I leaned on the closet next to the bed and sneered, "You're pretty polite for someone who stretches out her right face for me after hitting the left," making me a little embarrassed to hit her. "Ah, you bitch, I'm going to beat you to death." Lily Johnson's eyes were ablaze with rage and her hands flailed wildly as she rushed at me. On the table sat the cup I had just filled with water. I coldly grabbed the cup directly and splashed it hard in her face. "I think you need to calm down." Lily Johnson, suddenly slapped again by the water, grimaced and reached out to scratch at my face, but was pulled tightly back by two of her housemates who reacted. Lily Johnson, like a caught fish, kept wriggling and struggling. Her mouth kept yelling loudly, "Fake innocence, seducing other people's boyfriends, shameless." Hearing the unclean words from her mouth, a wave of anger rushed from the soles of her feet straight to her head. Nameless fire in my heart could no longer hold back its rise. In my last life, I was brutally tortured to death by her, and I hadn't even done anything to her. Instead, because of a worthless scumbag, she rushed up 3 times to find me trouble and pour dirty water. It really is the reverse of the Big Dipper. I stepped forward and threw another hard slap, clenching my teeth and saying harshly, "Is that cool enough to talk properly?" This time the force was no longer purposely curbed. Lily Johnson's head was knocked over and she stumbled to the floor, her mind confused. My roommate stood by, somewhat at a loss for words, not knowing whether to stop me at this point or to keep holding on to Lily Johnson. I sank my face down and looked at Lily Johnson, speaking word for word, "I repeat, and for the last time, I have no interest in your boyfriend. You have the guts to come to my trouble in front of me to engage in the victim guilt theory. How do not see you to go to your boyfriend to settle the score, ah? How do you not care about his hands and feet brain, ah? I'm the person who should be the most angry, to go to a class where able to be disgusting things stained, really bad luck." Lily Johnson hair messy shrill shouted. "I bah, obviously as you walked to him in front of him and talked to him to hook him, don't think I fainted do not know." I thought to myself, it's really too much work communicating with irrational relationship brains. Let's just put her in a direct line with scumbag. So I held back my anger and slowly walked to her and squatted down in front of her, coming up to her ear and seducing her. "I heard that your boyfriend is an only child, so his parents must be hoping for grandchildren. And I heard that people who lose weight excessively are not good at getting pregnant, so when do you think you'll be dumped by him? Still have the heart to dwell with me here. If I were you, I'd go and grab that man's heart and find a bargaining chip to stabilize myself earlier." After saying that, I didn't care about her anymore and called the other 2 housemates to go out and let Lily Johnson calm down by herself in the dormitory. This is my guess, and I don't know if it's true. Anyway, it would be good to get Lily Johnson's attention off of Daniel Taylor. When I returned to the dorm after treating my roommate to dinner, I found my seat and bed in shambles and Lily Johnson nowhere to be found. Okay, I'm not going to show any more mercy. The next time I see her, I'm not going to say anything, I'm going to slap her. However, I didn't see Lily Johnson in the dorm for the next few days, and she didn't show up for her major class. When I saw her again half a month later, Daniel Taylor accompanied her to move out of the dorm. Lily Johnson's current appearance gives the impression that she has been loved and cared for. Her eyes were much more delicate. Looking at her and Daniel Taylor's more explicit physical contact than ever before, I knew that she didn't go to class during this period of time, and should have been running to communicate with Daniel Taylor in bed. When she saw me walk in, Lily Johnson gave me a provocative look and moved closer to Daniel Taylor. Daniel Taylor reached into his shirt as if he were listening, rubbed her breasts with abandon, and cupped her face in a tongue-lashing kiss. The sound of slurping water resonated through the dormitory. I watched from the side only to feel that the 2 people in front of me were very hot. And the 2 of them were so amorous that they were about to engage in the mating sports of higher mammals on the spot. I finally couldn't hold back a cough to prove my presence. "You can finish moving your stuff as soon as it's packed, and then you guys can go get a hotel room and relax." Lily Johnson leaned over the edge of the bed and smiled daintily as she gave Daniel Taylor a patting nudge with her hand. "All right, let's get moving. Someone's jealous as hell, I'm afraid." Daniel Taylor nonchalantly rubbed the soft flesh of her breasts one more time before reluctantly turning to carry the bags on the floor. squeezing hard against my side on the way out. I didn't hold back the nausea as I covered my nose and took a big step back in miso. I'm a cleanliness freak, and I'm disgusted by the dirt. When Daniel Taylor was out the door, I quickly yanked Lily Johnson in and locked the door. I'll have a little girl talk with Lily Johnson. Lily Johnson shook my head off and ruffled her long hair, looking at me with a look of impatience. What do you want again? I'd sked around her and couldn't help but ask curiously, why aren't you afraid that I'm going to steal your boyfriend? Upon hearing what I said, Lily Johnson laughed as if she had heard a funny joke. He just loves to stay with me these days. He doesn't like to go anywhere. And he won't even look at you if you stand in front of him naked. Again, words I didn't like to hear. I cooled my face and gave her that slap from last time. You can stop talking if you don't know how. I'm not you. Don't make fun of girls' bodies all the time. Lily Johnson covered her face and glared. What's gotten into you again? If it wasn't for the fact that you gave me a good idea, I would have just let Daniel Taylor do it. I grimaced ho-hum and pointed to my bed to Lily Johnson. Have you forgotten what you did to my bedsit? This slap is from last time. Lily Johnson was confused for a moment, not realizing I would remember that long. I flung another slap without mercy. This slap is for the performance you just spiced up my eyes. I stopped Lily Johnson just in time as I watched her about to yell like crazy again. You trust your boyfriend so much. I don't know if you've looked at his cell phone and checked his chat records, but I heard that he's been chatting with a certain girl lately. So don't get yourself dumped when you've given yourself up for nothing. Hearing my words, Lily Johnson's face froze, and then retorted, no way. He stays with me every night. He doesn't have time to chat with other women. Sure enough, Lily Johnson couldn't think of anything other than Daniel Taylor in that brain of hers. I grinned impishly and continued to bait. What about when you're not together? When you're asleep at night? Are you really sure you're the one for him? Don't you think 90 pounds is a very specific number? Why would he want you to be 90 pounds thin? Why is 90 pounds considered thin? And who is this 90-pound person anyway? Lily Johnson's delicate face instantly darkened and twisted viciously. Looks like the provocation worked. You're not happy. I'm happy. I mercilessly grabbed Lily Johnson and threw her out. Dirty thing, get the hell out of here. After moving out of the dorm, Lily Johnson came back to class. Seeing that it was getting closer and closer to the 2-month weight loss deadline Lily Johnson and Daniel Taylor had agreed upon, my heart was getting tighter and tighter. It was also getting closer and closer to the time when I was tortured by Lily Johnson in my last life. Not only has Lily Johnson not lost much weight lately, she's mellowed out a bit. Strangely enough, she seems to be a bit gentler than before, a few points less of that previous snarkiness, and she even took the initiative to say hello to us when we bumped into each other. My roommate even said in the dormitory that Lily Johnson had changed her ways. After class that day, a clamor came from the open space in front of the school building. Many people ran out of the teaching building with excited faces and rushed around. Hurry up! I heard that there's a bustle in front. Hearing this, my roommate pulled me in and squeezed in. Just as I squeezed in, I saw Lily Johnson, whom I hadn't seen for a long time, and opposite me stood Daniel Taylor and a girl. I looked at the girl, and the more I looked at her, the more familiar she looked. Ah! It's the slim girl that Daniel Taylor seamlessly transitioned into in his last life. In full view of everyone, the maniacal Lily Johnson, the cowering Daniel Taylor, the cold-faced girl. What a great big show! Only to see Lily Johnson with a scowl on her face pulling on Daniel Taylor's shirt, pointing at the girl and yelling, "Tell me, who the hell is she?" Daniel Taylor avoided her gaze and cowered, refusing to answer. Seeing Daniel Taylor's silence, Lily Johnson shifted her target back to the girl. She approached the girl and spewed profanities furiously from her mouth. "You bitch! Is it you who seduced my boyfriend? Stinking mistress rotten." Before she could say play, she was slapped by the girl. A crowd of onlookers coincidentally resounded with an intake of breath. The girl stood there coldly and said impatiently, "Please speak cleanly. Firstly, I don't like him. Secondly, he's the one who's chasing me. He's the one who's pestering me every day. And thirdly, when he was chasing me, he told me that he's single, and that I'm also an uninformed victim. If you have any questions, just ask the man who is full of lies and has no commitment. He is the one who did the wrong thing, not me or you." Same girl, I understand you, but please don't just throw any word at me either. Daniel Taylor still didn't make a sound and kept his head down. The girl walked over to Daniel Taylor again and sharply threw another slap. This slap is your way of apologizing to me for lying to me and nearly ruining my reputation. In addition, you shamefully allowed 2 women to fight over you while you yourself hid behind people and kept quiet. You really aren't a man. After saying that, she also scanned Daniel Taylor contemptuously, turned around and left. It seems that in her previous life this girl was also a victim of deception. The onlookers let out a loud roar of approval. Daniel Taylor, who had been slapped, was irritated by the reaction of the people around him and quickly chased after the girl, grabbing her and trying to make a move on her. Fearing that the girl, with her back to Daniel Taylor, would not be able to react as quickly, I rushed forward and pulled her over, giving Daniel Taylor a hard slap. LOL. If it wasn't for the fact that there weren't many people moving dorms that day, and I was afraid that he would mess around with me, I would have slapped this back in the day. What kind of man is a man who hits a woman with his hands? I did this slap for this girl. After dropping my words, I hurriedly pulled the girl to hide into the crowd. A crowd of onlookers silently but quickly accommodated us, stopping Daniel Taylor, who was still trying to catch up behind us. Lily Johnson, with her red and swollen face, walked over to Daniel Taylor and took his hand, tearfully and bitterly begging, "Is it true what she said? Are you breaking up with me? You not love me anymore? I love you so much you can't be like this." Daniel Taylor didn't have the slightest bit of love in his eyes, only disgust remained. He frowned at Lily Johnson and finally spoke. The 2-month weight loss period is up. Didn't we agree to break up if you failed to lose weight? We broke up a long time ago. Why are you still coming to me? Lily Johnson clasped her hands on her stomach and yelled angrily, "Break up? It's impossible to break up. We've slept together so many times, and I probably have your baby in my belly right now. How could you leave me behind?" I hid in the crowd and raised an eyebrow. There really was a baby. No wonder he wasn't losing weight. Daniel Taylor stiffened his mouth in annoyance. "What child? Don't you dare drag me into this. We broke up a long time ago. Go away." He shook off Lily Johnson's hand and pushed his way through the crowd of onlookers to squeeze out. Lily Johnson screamed and stumbled after him. The crowd of onlookers were still gathered there talking about what had just happened and wouldn't let go for a long time. I took the opportunity to exchange information with the girls. It turned out that the girl was the president of the class next to Daniel Taylor's, named Emma Smith. Daniel Taylor had been stalking her since he ran into her in a big class his freshman year, sending her daily greeting messages and gifts whenever he moved. As for Lily Johnson's existence, he and Emma Smith explained that she was a cousin of a relative who had traveled a long way to attend college and was more dependent on him. It wasn't until this semester that Emma Smith agreed to give him a chance and decided to check it out first. By my calculations, Daniel Taylor and Lily Johnson didn't meet in college until they were together. That means Daniel Taylor was chasing 2 girls at the same time. Only Lily Johnson never knew about the other one. The reason why Daniel Taylor made Lily Johnson lose weight for a short period of time was to break up in name only and to cheat some money to buy a gift for Emma Smith. Gee, a shameless scumbag indeed. I looked at Emma Smith with pity. It's a good thing that such a beautiful girl was not cheated by Daniel Taylor in her life. I told Emma Smith something about Daniel Taylor and Lily Johnson in general, and reminded her to be more careful and not to just meet Lily Johnson in private. She's in love brain on top of her head and sometimes does some rather crazy things. It's best to stay away from her to be safe. Emma Smith nodded and finally exchanged contact information with me, saying that we could get back in touch if anything came up later. It wasn't until the time of my death in my last life had passed that my heart, which had been so tightly wounded, finally loosened up, and I had a low-grade fever afterward. No one knew that during the time I came back from rebirth, I had nightmares every night of being held by Lily Johnson and jumping off a building without dying but being crushed to death, and I would wake up sweating every time I went back. I sometimes even wondered if everything in front of me could be just a fantasy before I died. The feeling of being surrounded by the suffocating sensation of death all the time was really too unbearable. For once, I'm finally not haunted by Lily Johnson. The most important thing is that I'm still intact and alive. But Lily Johnson was her usual love brain, no-brainer thinking about anything other than love and Daniel Taylor. She goes to the boys' dormitory every day to find Daniel Taylor and beg for peace, crying and kneeling, but she still doesn't get back together, and is shamed by Daniel Taylor for being fatty. So this time the person being tortured was no longer me, but scumbag Daniel Taylor. Lily Johnson also didn't know what excuse to make, but managed to trick Daniel Taylor to the rooftop of the school building. Lily Johnson tried to pull him along to jump, but didn't succeed in jumping. They stalled on the roof for half an hour before being rescued by a student from the next building who found them and kindly called the police. Later, the unwilling Lily Johnson posted these things online to threaten Daniel Taylor, but still no effect. Daniel Taylor felt that what Lily Johnson did after the breakup was too horrible and did not want to get back together at all. Seeing that Daniel Taylor, the indirect victimizer, was not punished much, I secretly paid to add promotion to the post. Lily Johnson's post was once topped by gossipy netizens as the #1 local hot search, attracting many people's real-time attention and discussion. Because the negative impact of this incident was too great, seriously affecting the school's reputation, the school decided to expel both Lily Johnson and Daniel Taylor from school. It is said that Daniel Taylor's parents came to the school to give gifts to the leaders to find connections, but also failed to change the fact that Daniel Taylor was expelled from school. They also hated Lily Johnson for this and didn't care about the baby in her womb. On the day of the withdrawal, Lily Johnson's mom showed up at the school in a cloud of dust. She stood in front of the door and made a big fuss, lying on the ground like an unreasonable rural mom crying and spluttering. There is no justice, the school bullied us orphans and widows, my daughter was knocked up in school, the teachers are useless. The school even want to expel my daughter from school, without a little compensation. This let us mother and daughter how to live Better to headbutt in front of the school to die. I want to appeal. I want to report the black-hearted school. I want to report the principal. Lily Johnson, who was slightly pregnant, felt ashamed and begged her mom to stop and leave. Lily Johnson's mom slapped her in front of many teachers, gasping for air and scolding her angrily. You still have the nerve to think I'm ashamed? I work hard alone to earn money for you to go to college. How can you be so shameless? And other people fall in love and still get pregnant, and now not only dumped by the man, but also expelled from the school, and in the end, you cannot even get a diploma, you this useless thing. In the end, Lily Johnson still cried and dragged her mom away. I heard through the grapevine that Lily Johnson took her mom to Daniel Taylor's parents. The other side is not willing to see them, so they squatted beside Daniel Taylor's parents' flat every day. After squatting in vain, they went to the flat every day to make trouble. Every day a small trouble, 3 days will be a big trouble, so that people in the unit are full of grievances against Daniel Taylor's parents. After 2 or 3 months, Lily Johnson's stomach began to show pregnant. Was the leader to talk to the Daniel Taylor parents had to nod to agree to let them get married and receive a license. Lily Johnson happily in the circle of friends to send the marriage license, but no one cares. Before the wedding, she also sent invitations to our dormitory, but no one wanted to go, and did not prepare gifts and money. A roommate in the dormitory conspiratorial for a while. When I borrowed $200 to pay the fine or not yet, and now you want to cheat me to pay the share of money. Think beautiful. Who knows then will not be in public again, scolded us, seduced her husband. After successfully defending my graduation, I was wearing my bachelor's degree uniform with a happy face taking graduation photos and preparing for my graduation trip. While in the circle of friends, Lily Johnson showed her son's 2-year-old birthday photo. She herself was much more haggard, obviously rather a girl at the beginning of her life, but she looked like she was in her 30s. Same age, very different lives indeed, but I'm only getting better.